Hey everybody, it's Steph here,
Steph,
host of the show.
And this is Scott Steerwalt, your band leader. Coming to you from Brooklyn, New York. And we've got a very special episode this week. We're actually celebrating two very different holidays.
That's right, we've got Dia de Muertos show coming up later. But first, let's do a little spooky Halloween stuff.
Yeah, it is Halloween, so we're gonna kick it off with a really spooky episode of Hey Hey, You're on Mute from the spookiest place I know, Orlando, Florida, with our pal Bobby Mercier. Stay tuned. All right. Hey, Bobby. Thank you so much for joining us from Florida. I just recently escaped Florida just for a couple of weeks. So how are you holding up down there?
We're just living down here. We're doing Florida stuff.
Well, thanks for joining us for a special Halloween and Dia de Muertos edition of our Hey Hey, You're on Mute. For anyone who hasn't seen the show, basically we go back and forth with each other on mute, trying to guess what each other is saying. 30 seconds, we go back and forth for 2 rounds, and then one final round of 15 seconds for a lightning round. Once again, I have never technically won this, but I'm hoping with my clever disguise, maybe that will help me pull through this time. So, Bobby, are you ready to play?
All right, let's do it.
Okay, I'm going to put 30 seconds on the clock. I'm going to mute myself first, and you are going to be guessing, all right? Halloween and Dia de Muertos themed things. And we're going to start the timer in 3, 2.
Trick or treat is my favorite thing. Is trick or treat, smell my feet?
Yes, went to a real old one that I used to love to annoy the family with when I was younger. I feel like you having kids probably really helped you out with that one.
Yes, they haven't pulled that one out yet, but I'm sure they're hearing this from the other room, so thank you. It'll start now.
You're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. Of course, that's my gift to you. Okay, so Bobby's got 1 point. Now it's my turn to see if I can come back. I'm going to put 30 seconds on the clock. Bobby, you ready to put yourself on mute?
I am.
All right, we're going to start the timer in 3, 2. Oh, for fireside hot cider. Frankenstein's. Ooh, I don't know what that last part is. Frankenstein's, I don't know, margarita. I know Frankenstein. Frankenstein's monster truck. Okay, well, you totally charaded it. So yeah, that was
listen, where were the rules?
You're right. We can do whatever rules we want. It doesn't really matter. Thank you for that. Okay, Frankenstein's monster truck. We've both got a point. Thank you for helping me. Thank you for helping me with this. No one has ever done that for me before. Everyone puts like numbing stuff on their lips and then they just say it's like this when they talk.
That's a lightning round.
Okay, so we're 1-1. We're going for our next round, and I'm going to put myself on mute in 3, 2.
My friend smells like muffins. Muffins smell like pie? What? I'm still sticking with my friends smell like pie.
My face smells like mask. Now, this could be any kind of mask. I don't know. I'm wearing this kind of a mask. This will be, I wonder what that would look like with the mask and then another mask for Halloween. I'm not really sure. But no, my face smells like mask. So you didn't get that one, but that's okay. That's okay. Some of these are tough. Yeah, we can't get them all. Okay, so we're still 1-1. I'm going to put 30 seconds back on the clock. Bobby, you ready to mute yourself?
I am.
All right, 3, 2. Oh, it looks like I got drunk off of horchata. Oh, what? This is like 7 sentences long. I don't have any idea. I have zero idea. A cracker smashed. A cracker. Okay, that's it. That's time.
Yeah, these are pretty long. A Dracula bit my candy.
Okay, so the cracker was Dracula. That's very similar, though.
Yes.
I'm learning a lot about phonetics by playing this game and like how people's mouths move.
You'll
Dracula.
be in linguistics by the time you're done.
Exactly. I have like a master's in linguistics now after playing this game. Technically. Okay, so I think we're still tied 1-1. And now we're going to go into the lightning round. So we only have 15 seconds on the clock. I'm going to do a shorter one for you because I hope you get another point. The lightning round is always a really challenging one to get any points on. So I'm going to put 15 seconds on the clock. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, great. 15 seconds on the clock. And
I can't even. I eat. I'm eating. I'm eating. I'm looking for Snickers. I'm eating for the Snickers.
I ate candy for lunch and for dinner.
Oh, I feel like there was probably some like mid-sentence skip and then pick up there in the.
Well, I thought that I ate candy for lunch and dinner.
For lunch and dinner.
For lunch and for dinner, yes.
It
Okay.
turns out I'm not very good at this game either. So
it's a challenging game, to be completely honest with you. It's very hard. I've learned how hard it is actually after playing this so many times. Okay, this is it. This is my chance to steal. This is the last opportunity for anyone to get points. I have 15 seconds on the clock. Are you ready with your last phrase?
I'm ready.
All right, 3, 2. My hopes are gone. Patrón has spooky. Patrón is spooky. Spooky tequila. Patrón has spooky tequila. We're way over time. That's it. I got Patrón though after a while.
Which is good. Fantastic. Patrón and candy corn.
Oh, Patrón and candy corn. I thought it was like Patrón is so spooky. Well, Bobby, thank you so much. We tied 1-1. That's still pretty good. We got points on the board, so it wasn't a complete wash. So I think we did a really good job.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Groovy, bro.
I don't even say that.
Well, now that we've talked about Halloween and discussed that celebration, we're actually going to move down to Mexico and explore a little bit more about Día de Muertos, which is an extremely important celebration to all of our primos in Mexico.
That's right. Ginger Bartender is going to teach us how to make Café de Olla, which is traditionally drank around the holidays and specifically around Día de Muerto.
Yeah, so check it out. He's going to learn from Oscar Olvera, a good friend of ours in Juarez.
This week, I was asked to find out a little bit more. Obviously, my team and I get to go down to Mexico a lot, but we were asked and challenged to find out a little bit more about the traditions. And so I figured one of my favorite bartenders in Mexico, Oscar, was kind of the man to go to. And so he sent me over a recipe, and I asked for him to jump on with me tonight and be able to kind of talk over about this recipe, where he got it from, and some of the traditions that go along with it. So I could not be happier to be on here and chatting with you. Thank you so much for your time, Oscar.
Yeah, it's a great pleasure to see you again, man.
So good to see you. So what I've made some of my stuff, but what I would love for you to do, for those who've never made this, is kind of introduce what you're going to be making tonight, and then talk us through the steps, and we'll hopefully be able to enjoy it at the end.
Yeah, for sure. We are making a very special recipe. It's called café de olla, and we are making like the special version that is called café de olla with piquete. We call piquete when we add tequila to the coffee. It's a very, very simple recipe. I'm going to make the original recipe, and I'm going to use this. This is the olla for the café de olla. It's basically a clay container. If you don't have any clay container that I suppose you don't have, you can use any pot you have, or you can also use like a French press or any coffee method that...
Yeah, I was able to do mine using a Chemex. That can be put straight onto the stove, and I was able to heat up my version of it with that. So the actual vessel is called the olla?
Yeah, this is the olla. And you know, it's made from clay, and the clay gives the coffee that earthy notes that it's very, very special for this coffee, you know? Well, we are going to add 1 liter of water. I have this water preheated. Here you go. And our first ingredient is going to be 1 stick of cinnamon. Then we're going to use just the half of 1 orange peel, just the skin, and the half of 1 star anise. And to give some aromas, we're going to use just 1 clove. And I'm going to use as a sweetener piloncillo. This is like the very special flavor for the café de olla. I don't know if it's available.
Yeah, I was able to get it. I used mine, but it comes like in a cone shaped, right? And it's like, yeah.
Something like this, you know. And it's like a very special taste, like a brown sugar taste. And we're going to put the coffee. I remember my grandpa used to make the café de olla with this pantyhose, like a coffee filter. I remember a lot. I don't know if maybe you don't have a pantyhose at home, but you can use any tea filter, or you can put only the coffee straight to the pot, and then use a hand strainer to filter the coffee.
Okay, but basically it's like a sachet like that you would put herbs or anything into, but you're just using some pantyhose because that works as well.
I remember, you know, like a fun stuff. I remember being a kid and asked to my grandpa, what's that you're using? And a pantyhose, and I really didn't understand what a pantyhose have to do with the coffee, you know. And now we are waiting to, when we reach the boiling point of the water, we are going to turn off the heat and let the coffee rest for about 5 minutes. Okay, you know, the café de olla was created from the Adelitas. The Adelitas were the women who fought in the Revolutionary War in Mexico, and they prepared that recipe for all the army. So, and you know, it's a very, very special drink in Mexico, especially during the holidays, and there's a lot of variation of the recipe, but I think this is like the root recipe when you have the coffee, the orange peel, the star anise, the cinnamon, and the clove, and then you have a lot of variation depending on what part of Mexico you are.
So yeah, kind of similar to any kind of like stuff that, like a mole is a perfect example, you know what I mean? Everyone understands what a mole is, but everyone has their own special technique or twist on it. Kind of like a margarita, you know what I mean? A margarita can have so many different twists, but everyone knows what the traditional parts should be, and then you can spin off from there.
I remember my grandpa used to put some we call chile morita. It's like a sweet pepper that grow in Chihuahua to give that spice note to the coffee, especially during the holidays, in the funerals when all the people gathering around the fire and you have like the coffee pot in the center. And I remember that special taste of the spice of chile morita in a coffee that is not a usual taste in a coffee,
So I guess when I was asking you about obviously this episode is about Dia de Muertos, and I wanted to I really want to understand a little bit more about that tradition, and so you said that this is a cocktail, or at least a beverage that would be enjoyed. We're enjoying a spiked version of it in just a little bit, but it's a very traditional beverage that goes along with this. What other traditions would you kind of participate during this time, and what does this holiday kind of mean to you?
The Dia de Muertos is a very special day for us. It's that day of the years when we honor the people we love that are no longer with us. And one of the most beautiful traditions that we have as Mexican is called the Altar de Muertos. We found a spot in our home to build the altar, and we put pictures, and we also put all the stuff that they used to love when they were alive. I mean, like the food, like the music, like the clothes, like the tequila, and it's a way to share with them, like if we were set on a table again with them, and it's a very, very special way to connect with them in an emotional and a spiritual way. And it's a very important tradition to keep those people alive every single year. Like my girls don't meet my grandpa, but this is the day when you sit in front of the altar and show, well, this is my father, this is my grandpa, and they love to eat that food and they love to play that music, and you can feel this connection, with the people that are no longer with us. Is a way to honor them.
It gives me chills to hear because it's super special, you know what I mean? That they get to, that this person's memory gets to live on by you passing that on and you remembering how special that person was. And so, although they've never met him, they would know about that person. And it's such a great, you know what I mean? Like those kind of things. Now we're lucky that we have photographs, but that doesn't really sum up who the person is. And so talking about their favorite food and what they like to do, and if it was a sport or something like that they were interested in, like that's the person, you know what I mean? Getting to really be able to inform them about who their grandfather or that's really, really great. I love that tradition.
If you have the chance to see the Coco picture, it's a very good picture of the tradition, like in the mystical way,
You find that it is fairly accurate?
Yeah, I think it's fairly accurate in the mystical way more than in the traditional way, because we don't celebrate the Dia de Muertos is like very straight like you saw on the movie, but all the meaning, all the spiritual and mystical meaning that are involved in the movie, it's like the essence of the Dia de Muertos,
That's very cool.
that keep alive all the people that has passed away through all the generations. We have ready our coffee, so I'm going to serve it. This is boiling.
Okay, perfect. I'm skipping ahead.
Now it comes the fun part. Let's going to spike. That's the way you call a piquete.
Yeah.
I think maybe around 50 mils per coffee. I strongly recommend Patrón Reposado because it has these vanilla notes and these fresh agave notes, and it's like in between the blanco and the añejo. You have both of the of both worlds, and it's the best. And the perfect pairing for the café de olla is a concha, like it's a very traditional pastry from Mexico. And you can also find in Mexico a pan de muerto in this season.
Yeah, it smells amazing. Cheers to you, my friend. Thank you so much for explaining that to me. I really, really appreciate it. I feel like I've learned a lot. And so, yeah, for now, thank you so much for your time. Look forward to the next time that we get to actually sit across from a bar. So, I hope you and your family enjoy your day, and I will see you very soon. Cheers, my friend.
She's my friend. Always a pleasure to share me with my Patrón family.
Absolutely. Oh, wow. That's good. Really, really good.
That's great. So now that we have a drink in our hands, let's learn a little bit more about Dia de Muertos.
Yeah, so I had an amazing time talking to one of our tour hosts in Mexico, Adriana, all about Dia de Muertos and specifically about the ofrendas that are used in the celebration. She usually helps us put together all of the celebration actually at the Hacienda, which unfortunately this year we're not going to be able to do, but we really wanted to learn a little bit more about the significance of the ofrenda in the celebration, so stay tuned while we talk to her.
Adriana, thank you so much for joining us. It's so great to see you. Thank you for talking to us about Dia de Muertos and ofrendas.
Hey, Steph, thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm so happy to see you. I have so much time but I don't see you or any of the Edu team, so it's great to see you.
We're really happy to see you as well. Thank you for doing it.
Thank you.
So I feel like most people that are watching have probably had the pleasure of meeting you before, but if not, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at the Hacienda and La Casona?
Yes, of course. Well, I work directly with souls, so I make sure everyone follows their itineraries, and I make sure everybody stays on what they're supposed to do. And so I work directly with the hotels, restaurants, mariachis. So I make sure of the reservations, the accommodations, and every group gets a mariachi night. So if you get a mariachi night, that's because I have been calling all of the mariachis to get one night for you. So yeah, that's basically what I do. I'm in charge of the purchase orders and the suppliers. So I talk with all of the suppliers. So pretty much that's what I do at Casona.
So quite a bit of work for us. I know you're always so busy when we see you, and when we go through the work day, you're always with us to help out, to put all the food baskets together. And
oh yeah, right. That's one of my jobs too. I'm in charge of the food bank, all of the, you can say, volunteer things we do. So if you're going to food bank, I'm gonna be with you. If you're gonna do something else, but it's volunteer work, I'm gonna be with you. So that's really great. I love to do that. I think one of the parts that I love most of my job. That I can do volunteer work.
I agree. So today we are going to speak to you specifically on ofrendas, which is a really important part of the Dia de Muertos celebration. Can you speak a little on the history of the ofrenda in regards to the Aztecs and how this is now part of Dia de Muertos?
Yes, of course. Look, we have these ofrendas, these offerings come from a very, very, very long time ago. I mean, we're talking about the pre-Hispanic times. And you know, they didn't believe on heaven or hell because they weren't Catholic. So they only believe on prizes or punishments. So then this depends. If you die in a combat, you will reach another kingdom. You're not going to heaven. You're going to a different kingdom, you know? So they call it Mictlan. Mictlan is the underworld. Then the Spanish translated like hell. So if you die of natural causes, you go to Mictlan because that's the part of the vision of the pre-Hispanics of how everything goes. You have prizes, you have punishments. If you do bad things, you're going to Mictlan too, because that's what they're supposed to think. Then We have the traditions of the European people. They met the old world, all the pre-Hispanics, and then all of the traditions of the new world, like the Catholic religion. They start introducing the idea of hell, the idea of the fear to death, because you know the pre-Hispanics didn't fear to death. I mean, they were used to it. It was part of the life. For them, it was not a, they didn't think it as a bad thing. And then they come the Spanish people and they tell us, it is a bad thing, it is. And you can go to the hell if you don't do good things, you know? So everything got mixed and they become this part or this tradition that we have now. You know, everything got mixed up, and now we have, with the Catholicism, we have this tradition where old traditions like the seventh years or the skulls were introduced to the altars, and then the Catholic images like crosses, like the saints were introduced to the altars. Everything got together and we get this amazing tradition that we have now.
Now, as I understand, an ofrenda usually has 3 tiers.
Yes.
Can you explain what those 3 different tiers actually represent?
Yes, of course. The most common ofrendas has 3 tiers because they represent heaven, purgatory, and hell, obviously. So if you die, you find yourself in purgatory. And from there, you get directed either to heaven or to hell, as depend on the life that you live, right? Okay, so on the first step, always the first step is gonna be the top one, and then the second one, and then the third one, okay? So in the first one, there's an image of a saint who the person was devoted to, and maybe a picture of the person that we're offering, okay? And then in the second step, we're gonna put some things like the things that the deceased used to like, maybe the favorite food, the favorite drinks, and probably some clothes like accessories. I don't know, maybe if I was doing one offering for my dad, I would put his favorite hat and his favorite boots. And obviously pan, like Mexican bread. I will put tequila, of course, because he was a tequila lover, and I will put coffee, all on the second step. On the third step, we put salt, a cross of salt, because that helps to purify the souls that are in the purgatory. So that's pretty much what the 3 steps means. Also, if you put a cross with salt, you will help the kids that are on the purgatory. So you will help them to get out of there.
Amazing, wow, thank you. So you mentioned things like the pan de muerto.
Pan de muerto.
Can you explain like the symbolism behind just a couple of the items used on the ofrendas, like the marigolds, pan de muerto, sugar skulls, things like that?
Yeah, of course. Look, it's really common to find the marigold that we call it cempasúchil. It's the most traditional flower that you will see on ofrendas, and maybe they do like pads where they take off the petals and they put it on a pad. So that helps to the soul follows the way to the offering, and maybe it will help to aromatize the offering. And well, it's beautiful, so it will bring the beauty to the offering, okay? This word, cempasúchil, derives from the Nahuatl, that means beautiful flower. So that's why we use it. The candles, we use it to light up the way of the souls. Like the walking, during the walking, we use it to light up. So they find the way to our home, okay? And sometimes some people do like a cross with 4 of them, So they will represent the 4 cardinal points. So the soul can like know where to go, you know? It's kind of like everything is symbolism. Everything has a symbol, right? And pan de muerto, well, pan de muerto can be in different forms. Some of them will be the normal, typical round form. Some of them will be like a type of body. I don't know if you have seen those. It's like a body, and it's pan de muerto. This represents the body of Christ. And it's introduced by the Spanish people, the Catholic religion. That's why we put it. And I think it's one of the most important elements or items on the offerings.
Usually we do have a large celebration at the Hacienda for Dia de Muertos.
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit about what that celebration normally includes? I know that we have had the immense pleasure and just are so in awe of being able to experience that with all of you. And I know this year it's, you know, obviously going to be very different and we may not be able to do that. But for anyone that has not had this experience, can you just explain a little bit about what we do at Hacienda for Dia de Muertos?
Yeah, it's a very, very, I think it's one of the most loved traditions here in Hacienda. Everyone waits the whole year to get this night full of skulls, sugar skulls, Catrinas. You have seen this, it's amazing. So what basically we do, we make teams of at least 8 people, and we choose we are gonna do the offering. Sometimes it's gonna be related to someone of the team. It's gonna be a father, grandpa, grandmother, you know, it's gonna be relative to the team. So then we start to work. We start like around 12 p.m. Sorry. We start at 12 p.m. and everyone gets something. Everyone do the papel picado, like the confettis, and they bring the flowers. Actually, Patron gives the flowers to the teams. It's always a gift from Patron. All of the flowers of the marigolds, it's a gift. And then we bring the clothes, we bring hats, we bring boots, we bring all the food, the favorite food of the deceased. We bring sugar skulls. I don't know if I told you this, but sugar skulls means that the death can be sweet and not bitter, because there's no life without death. So we don't get really scared of that. We celebrate it. For us, it's part of the life. So in Mexican tradition, you're gonna see skulls everywhere, and we love it. We are not afraid of it. So that's what it means. For me, it's a beautiful tradition. It's a beautiful meaning that death can be sweet, not just bitter, you know? So we're gonna bring all the skulls. We're gonna light up the hacienda with candles. It's amazing. And then we'll have food stalls. You know that the people that works on the food stalls are relatives to the employees. Mm-hmm. Everyone gets like, hey, can you or you want to put a food stall at the hacienda on the night? And everyone is like, yes, of course, and gets like a huge fair, like you can say it, or a kermés, and it's amazing. We have contest of Catrinas. I don't know if you saw that the last time you came.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Everyone gets dressed up, and the faces got makeup and everything. It's such an amazing tradition. I love it. It's so sad that this year we're not gonna be able to do it, but I mean, first we have to think first on the health of everyone. And so that's pretty much what we do. We have ballet folklorico for the night. Of course. It's amazing. It's such a great night for everyone. And then later you can take the marigolds to your house.
I love it.
It's amazing.
It is the most beautiful celebration. And Adriana, that's all the questions I have for you. I want to sincerely thank you for your time and the energy, sharing all of this history with us and educating us on the beautiful celebration of Dia de Muertos, specifically the ofrendas and everything else that goes into it. I am so sad that we can't be there to experience it with you this year, but thank you again so much. And I hope to see you soon.
Thank you for inviting me. It was such a pleasure for me to bring to you a little bit of the tradition that we love. So thank you for inviting me, and hope to see you soon too. Hope to see you soon in Hacienda.
Wow, I want to thank Adriana again for walking us through all of that. I, for one, really think it's so beautiful to take something that some people might grieve over and turn it into a way to celebrate someone. So I really think it's such a beautiful holiday, and thanks again for explaining that to us.
That was great, Steph. Yeah, thanks for doing that. Up next, we've got David Allen. He's in the kitchen. He's doing roasted squash and piloncillo, which is a dark brown sugar from Mexico. And he's going to be making some old fashions to go along with that. So stay tuned.
Greetings, Academia friends all around the world. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening for a very special Dia de Muertos edition of Academia Live. I am preparing a couple of things tonight. So the first thing is a dish that's commonly served around this holiday called calabaza en tacha, or calabaza enmealada, and it's basically a candied pumpkin is what it translates to, or candied squash, and this sort of acorn squash is what I'm going to use. And the way you do it is you basically make a syrup out of piloncillo, and I've got these incredible piloncillos that we bought at the farmer's market there in Guadalajara. These are traditional, like, whole brown sugar cones, and then from the different sugar-producing areas of Mexico, they take on different characteristics. So I have two different types of piloncillo here that I'm going to make my syrup with, and it will be flavored with some of these incredibly delicious Mexican cinnamon sticks. So the syrup will get poured over the big chunks of roasted squash, and the squash will basically simmer in the syrup, take in all that syrup. So that will be the candied pumpkin, and that is a treat in and of itself. You can either drizzle more syrup over it and eat it like a dessert, well, with ice cream, or you can pour some milk on it and eat it like a breakfast thing. But what I'm going to do is reduce that syrup. I'm going to save the candied squash for breakfast, and then I'm going to make something a little more of an evening treat by making a syrup out of that sort of roasted squash-infused piloncillo. And I'm going to make a really awesome old-fashioned for the Dia de Muertos celebration using Roca Patrón Añejo and some Gran Patrón Smoky. So I'm going to go ahead and get started preparing these squash, and we'll see you in a few moments. So cut the squash in pieces and then pull out the seeds, and these seeds can be saved to make a wholly different treat, which is pepitas. You can clean them, dry them, and you roast them, toss them with some oil, salt, roast them in an oven or toaster oven, and those are a delightful snack. I'm going to clean and save for another occasion. I'm going to go ahead and just make sure I get all that stringy pumpkin guts out of there, squash guts. Just using a serrated grapefruit spoon here. Go get the syrup started. All right, the next step in our process is to make the piloncillo syrup. And I'm going to do this in my trusty old Le Creuset Dutch oven here on the stove. I'm actually going to use all of these. This is about 12 small piloncillo cones. And these we got these from a farmer's market in Mexico. And they're kind of petite. In most, like in any kind of Mexican grocery store in the US, or in the Mexican section of the mainstream grocery store, you'll find these either Fiesta brand or Goya brand piloncillo cones, a little bit bigger. And I've got about a quart of water that we'll just bring this to a boil. I went ahead and boiled the water. And we'll just get this going until we dissolve the piloncillos. put in a couple cinnamon sticks. Break them up a little bit. Already smells amazing. We're just getting started. I can tell already that the syrup is super going to be super fragrant with this much cinnamon. I probably overdid it a bit. So I'm going to pull a couple out. And this is a quick process. This was only been 4 or 5 minutes. The piloncillos are already dissolved in here. And we're going to go ahead and put the squash in here. Try to make sure they're mostly covered. Make sure everybody gets dipped at least. All right, I'm just gonna put this lid back on here, go ahead and bring this to a boil, and then we'll drop it back down to a simmer. All right, so the squash pieces have been simmering for about an hour. The syrup is really permeated and softened the squash. And now I'm going to just bring the heat back up a little bit to bring this a little bit to a higher simmer so that it will reduce and thicken so that we can make our cocktail syrup and the syrup that you would garnish the squash with. So now that my syrup has had a chance to chill, I'm going to make this delicious calabaza old-fashioned with 1.5 ounces of Roca Patrón Añejo to 1/2 ounce of Grand Patrón Smoky. This is a similar process to Roca Patrón in that the agaves are milled by Tahona after being roasted, over 3 days in clay brick ovens, pine wood fermented, copper pot still. But the difference with Grand Patrón Smoky is that the agaves are roasted in the ground, so it just imparts this incredible ethereal smokiness to the product. And then I've got 1/2 ounce of our roasted calabaza syrup and a couple dashes of mole bitters. Now, one of the flavors that goes into the calabaza syrup is actually orange. And I didn't have an orange when I was putting this together, but I do happen to have satsumas. We have them growing here in our yard. So I've got some satsuma that I'll use for my garnish. Let's see. Beautiful. Just try to do a satsuma peel. It doesn't quite work quite as well as an orange, but it's COVID times, that's what we've got. A little satsuma. Oh my god, it smells awesome. Tastes incredible. All the things you want in an old fashioned, a little bit of that fall spice from the mole, the subtle smokiness from the Grand Patrón Smoky, and this rich sort of like pumpkin-y squash flavor coming through. It's awesome. Well, folks, I thought I had the willpower. I thought I could do it. I thought I could make it till breakfast time to enjoy my candied pumpkin, but the reality is I can't. So I'm just having breakfast for dinner, I guess. I've got a little bit of thickened cream here, and I'm just going to see how this delicious dish is. Oh my god. Holy cow. Wow. That was really, really incredible. I also don't usually have an old fashioned for breakfast, but we're doing it all different time. Thank you so much. It's been a privilege to cook for you and talk about Dia de Muertos and calabaza and tacha, or calabaza and melada. and this delicious calabaza old fashioned. Please go to the YouTube channel, and in the description you will find the recipes for these dishes. Cheers!
Hi everybody, my name is Egor Polonsky, aka The Main Nerd, and welcome to The Corner, the Nerd Corner. Today I'm drinking hot Mexican chocolate and talking about Dia de Muertos with my colleague who is from Mexico and used to be a part of a Patrón production team. Let's talk to Mariana and find out the details, origin, and historical culture of Dia de Muertos. And in the end of the segment, I give you a quick tutorial of how to make a traditional but boozy twist on a hot Mexican chocolate.
Roll the footage.
Dia de Muertos, in few words, is a celebration of life. Dia de Muertos is a way to honor our ancestors in a lovely and respectful way. The origins of Dia de Muertos are back on the 16th century, on the Aztecs era, and they actually used to believe that death was just a natural path for all humans. It was part of the human lives. I would like to highlight that Dia de Muertos is not Mexican Halloween. Both celebrations have their own identity and they're both incredible. And to be honest with you, as a Mexican living outside of Mexico, celebrating those traditions are just on the bottom of my heart, and I feel extremely proud to be able to celebrate Dia de Muertos, of course in Mexico, but as well outside of Mexico, in between our Mexican friends, in between colleagues, and not only Mexicans, right, but celebrating this tradition with the world, I think is something that personally makes me feel extremely proud and happy. Another symbol would be actually butterflies. I don't have it here, but butterflies will be holding the spirits of the deceased, and they will bring it back to the earth safe. Of course, something that can never be missed, and that's why I want to mention it, are sugar skulls. They can actually be personalized, and it's very common to find a lot of Mexican names on them. And of course, another symbol that we are going to find during Dia de Muertos celebrations will be Catrinas. So Catrinas are in fact like a human representation of a skull, and they are actually mainly wearing fancy clothes, because the message that the Catrina is sending is that at the end, social status, it doesn't matter if you are richer or you are poorer than others. At the end of our life, we're all going to the same place. So I think La Catrina is just sending us a very important message to all. When we think about tequila, when we think about Patrón, Patrón is made in Mexico, in the highlands of Jalisco, and the Mexican celebrations and culture are naturally connected to the roots of Patrón as well. Guys, as promised to you, I just want to finalize this video sharing from where I took this inspiration, because I've been following the Mexican chef Ana Matorrell, well, she created this representation of an altar. It was very simple for me to follow it, and so I didn't want to lose the opportunity to actually recognize this inspiration that I had, because I think especially for people that we don't have all the elements, something like similar to what she's doing, it will be very easy to follow. And still, I think the most important is to make it with the heart, right? If we don't have all the tools, I think it's important, as far as we are respecting and we do it with all the love, it's more than welcome to try to celebrate in our own way. And as I promised, let me share with you what I'm drinking here. I have here just Mexican hot chocolate with 2 ounces of añejo Patrón. And guys, nothing. Cheers.
All right, Steph here. Thanks for viewing. Thanks to the fans. Thank you to my manager. Thank you to my personal chef.
All right, well, we're off next week because it's time to vote, so we'll see you at the polls. I don't even have a personal chef.
Your keyboard's not even plugged in. You're precious.